Hello, everyone. Chantal with USTA New England, your diversity inclusion manager. I'm here today with Jean and Amy from the Spina Bifida Foundation of New England. We're really excited to be talking to them today for Global Accessibility Day. So Jean, would you want to get started, and then you can introduce yourself, and then Amy will have that chance?
Sure. Thank you so much for having us. We have been really excited to get connected to you, and I think this is going to provide a lot of great opportunities for kids in our organization. So I am the executive director here for the Spina Bifida Association for Greater New England, and we are a nonprofit that supports people living with spina bifida in all 6 New England states. We are an affiliated chapter of the National Spina Bifida Association, so that gives us a great connection to our national partners as well as other chapters across the country, and really helps us provide good education, advocacy, resources to our families. And Amy is our board chair, so I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us today. My name is Amy Bois, and I'm board chair of Spina Bifida of Greater New England. Definitely love being a part of this chapter. We have amazing programming, and we are just happy to connect with USTA on this initiative, and really just looking forward to finding some kids that want to get out there and play tennis.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to jump into our questions for you guys. And either you both tag team, one or the other, up to you. But so can either one of you briefly describe exactly what is spina bifida?
Amy, you should take that
Sure.
one.
Yeah. So my son is 15, and he was born with spina bifida. Spina bifida is actually the leading birth defect, and it actually happens the first 28 days of pregnancy. So sometimes even before people know that they're pregnant. During that time, that's when the spinal column is forming and spinal cord. And what happens is, if you think of your vertebra as a zipper, at some point in the vertebra, the spinal cord splays out rather than zipping all the way up. So when that happens and there's a splay at the defect, that's what causes the spinal cord to be open to the amniotic fluid in utero and causes damage. So spina bifida is something that impacts the lower limbs. It can cause paralysis or loss of sensation. It also causes possible CSF fluid to be in the brain. So that's why a lot of people with spina bifida have hydrocephalus. And honestly, it can cause also bowel, bladder, and other concerns as well, depending on the level of that person's lesion or opening in the spine.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. That was very concise. I had like an idea, but I had no clue about the 28 days. That's amazing. So really fascinating. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, like I said, most people, you can detect it on AFP testing. It would come back high for neural tube defects. That's usually how a female would find out that they were pregnant with spina bifida. Early detection is great because then you can make a plan for your baby when they are born. One thing I do want to mention though with spina bifida is that we call it the snowflake defect because it's so different with each person. We have people there's 3 different levels of spina bifida, but we have people that are ambulatory and then also people that are full-time wheelchair users. So it is very different for each person. Each person with spina bifida is unique.
That's awesome to hear, because I think that's the whole beauty of diversity and inclusion, is that we're meeting people where they are, and we'd love to celebrate their unique individuality. So thank you for sharing that. So we're really curious. I'm sure you guys are doing a million things all at once, like everyone today, but we just want to know, what does your organization do exactly to help people with spina bifida?
Well, I can take, excuse me, I can take that one. So we do a lot of different things. We do provide some direct financial support to people. We have empowerment grants that are available to all of our members, up to $250 per person per year. And the purpose of those is really to explore something new, like a camp, or we've helped purchase adaptive bicycles, or we have a girl who's entered into a beauty pageant and we helped her with those costs. We also, some people just have unmet medical needs that insurance doesn't cover, and we support that as well. We do have a supply of catheters that are available for people whose insurance are not covering enough to meet their needs. So those are some sort of basic support programs that we do, but we do a lot of educational programming in combination with our national association, but also there are about 8 clinics and medical programs in New England. So we work closely with their staff and provide, speaker series videos. We're having a regional education conference in October of this year where we will gather all of our members plus medical providers to talk about any and all topics in the world of spina bifida. We also do some social programming. One of our signature programs is a teen empowerment retreat that we do every year. So we bring teens together from all across New England. And for many of them, this is the first time they've met someone else with spina bifida. So it's a chance for them to be together, be kids, be, in the company of other people who get it, what their daily lived experience is like. And it's a great opportunity for parents really to connect with each other. We have great adults with spina bifida who serve as mentors in that program. And that's a great connection both for the kids and the parents. This summer, we are really, really hoping we will have our annual family summer picnic in person again. We have a holiday party, which I hope by December can be in person again. We do a lot of fundraisers. We have teams in the Falmouth Road Race, the Maine Marathon. We do our own walk and roll is kind of our signature fundraiser. So we do all of that. We also do advocacy and education and awareness work. So last year we were able to get Governor Baker here in Massachusetts to declare October as Spina Bifida Awareness Month. And we are in the process with all 6 New England states of repeating that and expanding it for this year. So that's our goal, to have 6 proclamations this year. So we really are trying to just increase awareness, visibility, representation, support, connection for our members.
Awesome. That's I knew it was going to be a lot, and it sure is. And way to go on, all, covering all 6 states, because we certainly know what that feels like at USTA New England. And it's quite the challenge, but it's really fun because, New Englanders are just such amazing people, and they're all a little different depending on which state you're in. So it's so much fun to connect with others. Absolutely. I think this question is more for you, Amy, but Jean, feel free to jump in. So in tennis, we really take great pride in how adaptable it is. And we just wanted to hear your thoughts on, what have you noticed that makes the sport welcoming and inclusive to people with spina bifida?
Well, number one, I have to say, and Tyler would be the first one to say this, is that the court surface is awesome for wheelchairs. I am not going to lie. A nice flat surface that doesn't have a lot of bumps in it, that's, his tennis wheelchair spins awesome on it, like on a dime. That's primo. Your full-time wheelchair users are not fans of grass or carpet, or gravel for that matter. So that is awesome. It is just a great way for them to focus on their sport, not have to worry about that aspect of it. Also, I have to say that within the tennis community and what we've seen, everybody has been very open and willing to learn about wheelchair tennis. I've never seen anybody be like, oh, how do you play tennis in a wheelchair? Like, every single person we've come encounter with was open, wanted to learn, wanted to get into a sport wheelchair and get out there and try it out. So I love the fact they're just open to anything, and they really respect our athletes. They say, wow, it takes so much core trunk strength to be an adaptive tennis player, wheelchair tennis player, and they recognize that from the get-go. So that immediately makes the person playing feel really welcomed and comforted by that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. We've done some awareness events where we've invited the public to try out a sport wheelchair. on the court with rackets and balls and just try it out. And it really leaves people who do not use the wheelchair every day with a new appreciation for the sport. And the really cool thing about tennis is that for the most part, the only difference for the wheelchair tennis player is that they get an extra ball bounce, and half the time they don't need it.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're working hard we really want to do an up-down league, or establish a wheelchair only league. We're still in the fine tuning those details, but yeah, so it's great to hear your feedback and experience, or Tyler's feedback and experience. We want to keep him happy for sure. So
yeah, I mean, Tyler's been able to play with able-bodied individual as well. He plays with both. And that's been great too, because I think it's important to play with all different levels within the community, and that's been well received. So it's nice to see.
That's what I think is so great about tennis too. It's such a social sport. And so just as Amy said, the fact that you can play wheelchair tennis, but you can also play with able-bodied people at the same time really opens up a lot of opportunity for people in wheelchairs that they may not have even in other sports that are accessible.
That's right.
Yeah, which I think is a great segue into our last question. But, you know, what are some things typical bodied people can do to increase mobility access for our friends in wheelchairs? Like, you know, part of our job with the awareness piece is like, we need to recognize that maybe as we're inviting our friends in chairs that, you know, doors need to be wider, you know, things like that. So what else can we keep in the back of our minds to make things more inclusive?
Yeah, well, I'll use an example of where we're playing right now at the outdoor courts. I think one of the things that would be great is making sure there's a pathway, a direct pathway to the opening on the tennis courts. Right now we have to go over bumpy, grassy terrain. And so that means I have to push Tyler in his regular wheelchair because it's so bumpy, he could tip over, or it would just take him an awfully long time, and then bring his tennis wheelchair up to the court. So it just takes a lot more time. And honestly, for an independent standpoint, and you know, Tyler doesn't want me pushing him into the courts. He wants to be able to do that himself. So making sure that there's safe passageway into the tennis courts, a nice clear pathway, and that would certainly be helpful. And then also, if you see somebody that's going in and they're trying to get on the court so that they don't miss court time, ask them, say, hey, would you like me to bring your chair in for you while you go in? And then that way you don't miss any court time. I know we would love that. We'd be like, yes, that's great. But please, I would definitely ask that person first and see if they need some assistance. You know, just being a heads up reaction, like, and not going over and just pushing the person or just pushing their chair without asking them.
Definitely.
You know, I think just from a broader perspective, 25% of people in this country have a disability. And so any venue that's fully accessible to them is fully accessible to 100% of the people in this country. And I think it's just important to keep that in mind, especially in new construction, but certainly in renovations and creating access to public areas. If it's fully accessible for people with mobility challenges, then it's fully accessible for everyone. And, you know, it would be great. It's a much bigger nut to crack, but it would be great if people took that approach from the get-go. Then we wouldn't be having a conversation about how do we make this better accessible for people.
Yeah, and we've had some of those conversations, and you know, I think one of the New England challenges is that some buildings, particularly tennis, you know, facilities, are very old.
Yep.
And but we do have great hopes with, you know, the ADA and renovations typically when they get renovated, which we know takes time. So, but wonderful points. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure speaking with you both. We're really looking forward to working with you all more as we dive even deeper into wheelchair tennis at USTA New England. We've come a long way in a short time, but we're definitely committed to doing more. And we're so happy to have partners like you guys to help us make it happen. So, you know where to find us, we know where to find you, and we're just so looking forward to working with you and talking to you again soon.
Well, thank you. We're really looking forward to working together. This has been great.
Thank you, Chantal. We appreciate it.